I'm curious, how many people here own a home? Okay. How many people here in the next few years look to buy a house? Okay, a few. All right, it's good to know the split because that kind of helps me to determine the story. This is built with D3, Mapbox GL, and just simple CSS transitions. I'll get a little bit into some of the technical details towards the end when I hit the 1 minute, but I'll kind of go through this. This is property assessments in Edmonton visualized. There's over 300,000 buildings or polygons that exist, and the technical challenge is to try and like show them all together. Can you guys read that? That's probably too small, right? Or you get to see my non-existent, somewhat non-existent responsive design. Anyways, this map that you see here, $322,000 is the median assessment of properties, residential properties in Edmonton. If you look at this map, the bright colors are the parts that are close to that amount. If you look for blue, that's cheaper than $322,000. Kind of disclaimer too, assessments are not the same thing as what people buy in terms of a house, but it's a useful clue often to determine where you want to be living or where you can go and buy a place. So if you zoom in a little bit more, you'll notice in the case of Edmonton, the north side typically is where you find most of these properties. There's this tiny little curious block of homes in Millwoods that is assessed at like half, or close to half of the median assessment of Edmonton, and it's just that one block. And so there's like little things here and there that kind of like you'll discover that are kind of I'm gonna go through the stories. This is the experience I'm hoping people get, is they'll get to the site and they'll be able to run through some stories or some interesting insights. But the most interesting insight really comes down to your homes, or where you want to go. So I'll get into that in a bit. If you look at double the median assessment, that's 644,000. It's typically on the south side. When you find close to like a pond or something, you'll see that. And then, again, this is what I think is more interesting, which is what happens when you want to compare. So let's say I own this house. I don't, but I'm clicking on that, immediately colors everything relative to my piece of property. What's more expensive? What's less expensive in my area? And you'll be surprised. The variation on a single street can be quite high. So, for instance, in this case, like what's the most expensive property? Click around, you want to look for the red ones, you go more red, and you'll notice that there's this house that's really expensive, and then there's this house, which is $4 million, compared to the other houses, which were $600,000. And when you zoomed out a bit, there's like across the street from this, it's like all the houses are $300,000. So go figure, right? One thing that I really liked about this was there's a little tutorial on how to do this. But you get to kind of like, oh, this is $4 million house. Why is it $4 million? Oh, well, it looks huge. And then I get to like, oh, well, oh my goodness. It's a little bit creepy, I gotta admit, but if you're looking for a place, or if I'm looking at my place, it's useful to be able to see what the differences are between different houses. And a lot of this, again, is the instant coloring that I wanted to achieve, because there's so many polygons and so many things. But I really want to compare quickly. Other things too, this is an interesting insight. Like if your house backs into a pond, look at the cost. Like everything is a lot more expensive as you get closer to a pond. So there are some places that are assessed at $0, which makes no sense to me. But some of them are co-op, some of them are group homes. So there probably is a logical reason for it. I don't know what the justifications are.
And those are definitely co-op houses. I know where that is.
Yeah, this one is. This definitely is. This one I was like specifically going into this one. But yes, there's quite a few different like places that are $0. Let's see. Oh, and like this is kind of neat too. Like at $50 million, you look across the city, you'd expect to see commercial properties, but that's not the case. This one single block is at $64 million. Most of these are condos, but some of these I can't explain because these are houses. These aren't like an apartment building. So it might be like a gated community. I'm not sure. And then at the highest, when you look around, it's like 1.4 billion. is WESDED, but there are other ones like the university. In terms of user interaction, besides what I've just shown you, there's little sliders like this. Thanks. You just click on it, and then everything recolors. So if you wanted to be very specific about the amount that you want, so let's say I'm looking my price range. This is an interesting use case. So if say I'm looking for $1 million house, I'm not, but some people are. Well, if you're looking for a house at, let's say, $300,000-$400,000, you're probably looking for something around that range. But some people want to live around people who pay, for that sort of amount for a place. So now you get to see where in the city you might want to look or consider trying to get a place. And then the rest of this is just just for people to explore, look at their own stories. On a technical bit, this is a project that was like a year ago. I started at it because I looked at open data. It was interesting to me. And then I realized in trying to do it with D3, it does not perform. Like SVG and D3, more than 100 or more than 1,000 elements, things go crazy. And trying to do 300,000, stuff starts crashing, right? So I went through all sorts of different mapping or visualization libraries. I actually got to the point of using Pixie.js. If you guys are familiar with that, that's a gaming engine, but go figure, whatever you can do to get the job done. But then landed finally with Mapbox.gl. Next steps are I've got 1.4 million homes, single family residences in Los Angeles, I think, Los Angeles County. Visualize that. I'm going to put these together and then send them out. That's it.
Thanks for watching. Exchange.js is Edmonton's JavaScript meetup. Subscribe for all our videos, then stay informed by following us on Twitter and meetup.com. Links in the description. Thanks to our sponsors, Jobber and Clio. Do your part to support the meetup and like and share this video. Don't forget to subscribe. See you soon.